Good afternoon. Now we will start session 2, where we will talk about cultural sustainability, which is our responsibility to preserve and foster diverse cultures. And I will be the moderator, Jung Ji-soo. First, I'd like to introduce our speakers, Song Sang-hyun, Sa Hye-sun, and Lee Jae-eun from Goyang Global High School. Next, the commentators will be Kim Ji-won from Dongtan Global High School, Kim Gon-woo from Busan International High School, Han Ji-won from Sejong Global High School, Choi Ji-soo from Seoul Global High School, and Lee Yeon-chun from Incheon International High School. Before we begin, there are matters that require attention. As we are short on time, please keep to the time limits. We have 10 minutes in total for the 3 speakers, 4 minutes for each commentator, and 10 minutes at the end for the audience to ask questions. Now, Song Sang-hyun, Sa Hye-sun, and Lee Jae-eun from Goyang Global High School will give a brief presentation about cultural sustainability. Please greet them with a big hand.
Good afternoon. Welcome to our session of cultural sustainability. PPT.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Is it?
Yes, right? Good afternoon. Welcome to our session of cultural sustainability. Woo. Since the birth of humanity, people have always longed for a better life. A better life used to mean convenience produced by destructions and exploitations of nature or even other people's life. Humanity has run for its goals so eagerly without considering the result and is now slowly realizing the outcomes of its actions. This change in perspective soon lead to the notion of sustainable development in each area of human society, which mainly means that people started to take future generation and the capacity of our planet into account more seriously. And cultural sustainability is one of the 4 pillars that supports the sustainable development. The main point that will be covered in our speech are the protection and preservation of culture, followed by tangible and intangible heritages, and the real-life application of cultural sustainability. In academic research, culture has been studied as an important aspect of sustainable development, and culture has been studied as an important aspect of sustainable development, and I'm sorry.
Give them a big...
These studies usually suggest that cultural sustainability requires the recognition of local cultural values when doing policy planning and decision-making, making sure to provide support for the community-based and participatory approaches. Cultural sustainability has also been associated with the role of art, creativity, and cultural activities for community vitality. And moreover, the promotion of cultural diversity and the preservation and conservation of tangible and intangible heritages have been considered important for sustainable development by many studies. In addition, cultural sustainability has been viewed more broadly as a cultural evolution towards a more sustainable way of life based on ethical choices in everyday activities. What drew people's attention at first were only economics, ecology, and politics. However, through many international conferences and the research from the organizations such as UN and UNESCO, people started to agree with the importance of cultural sustainability as it shows people ways to understand and appreciate cultural resources and each other, adding to its role in solving challenges in other fields. Now, the role of cultural sustainability in the fields of protection, preservation, and development will be discussed in detail. Thank you.
Developing on the previous speech, I will explain the protection and preservation of culture as cultural sustainability. Both tangible and intangible cultures define the identity of people and illustrate their accumulated knowledge, their lifestyle, and their value system. Thankfully, many organizations have realized the importance of conserving world's cultures. So we were able to maintain many of the cultural heritage until today. First of all, there are many endeavors regarding the protection of tangible culture. UNESCO is especially involved in this issue. In 1972, the General Conference of UNESCO adopted the Convention concerning the protection of the world's cultural and natural heritage. In addition, UNESCO carries out activities globally currently protecting a total of 759 cultural heritage all over the world. One of the examples of their endeavors is the World Heritage Cities program. It basically assists the state parties to protect and maintain their urban heritage by providing theoretical framework for urban heritage conservation and technical assistance. By carrying out these programs, UNESCO was able to successfully restore the cultural heritage. For example, Bukchon Hanok village in Korea is protected under this program. Next, I would like to talk about intangible culture, more specifically, linguistic diversity. Language is the primary and fundamental element of culture that came before everything else. The way the people live and think is reflected on language. Most importantly, culture is transmitted by language. So the extinction of a language results in an irrecoverable loss of unique cultural knowledge that has embodied in it for centuries. With no doubt, cultural diversity wouldn't have existed without linguistic diversity. But many of the world's languages are in danger. Recognizing the severity of endangerment, UNESCO has a major theme called Endangered Languages under its culture sector. As you can see from this map, there are 577 critically endangered languages in the world. Problems arising from the disappearance of languages are getting severe. This graph provided by UNESCO shows the vitality of world's languages. There are about 7,000 languages present in the world today, but about 2,500 languages are at risk of disappearing. Also, the UNESCO Atlas of World's Languages in Danger shows the 2,473 languages that are endangered. To prevent further loss of culture embodied in each language, UNESCO carries out endangered language program, expert meetings, and projects. One of the examples of endeavors to protect endangered languages is the Endangered Language Program carried out by Rosetta Stone. By taking learning courses, indigenous people can learn their endangered mother tongue. There are only 6 languages available by Rosetta Stone, but with more funds, more languages can be covered. The bottom line is that we need to feel responsible for the things we hand down to our next generation. As for linguistic diversity, the young generations must gain opportunity to learn their mother language. More education programs are needed as direct help to the indigenous people, and more campaigns should take place to raise awareness of the status quo. As for tangible culture preservation, UNESCO must keep up the good work to preserve the most valuable resources from our ancestors. To sum up, active education and attention are the keys to saving the cultural heritage. Now, the next speaker will talk about the applications of cultural sustainability. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The preceding speaker talked about cultural sustainability in the aspect of language. In this section, I will talk about cultural sustainability in the aspect of economical views and the ways to improve our life. Culture and creative industries have been rapidly enlarging in the global economy. Can you tell the difference between these two industries? The term culture industry is quite confused with cultural industries, while there are two absolutely different terms. Culture industry is an outcome of mass production, while culture industry is not a business aimed at making profits. Cultural industry is a combination of production, creation, and distribution of goods and services that are cultural in nature and usually protected by intellectual property rights. Through cultural products, new jobs are generated, more opportunities are made, and therefore people's living conditions get better, especially those of vulnerable people like women. Moreover, sustainable cultural tourism, using nature as a tourist attraction without causing harm, is one of the fastest growing economic sectors. It is widely known that over 30% of tourism revenues come from cultural tourism. Now, one of the examples is Vietnam's green map that is happening on Vietnam. While letting international tourists take note of the spectacular nature of Vietnam by engaging local people through the use of guides, homestays, and different modes of transportation, it serves to increase the local people's awareness of their environment, and it provides a stable source of income for the locals. Since cultural sustainability is a newly defined term, not enough research has been taken in Korea. However, there are some interesting movements, and one of them is STEP, Sustainable Tourism for Eliminating Poverty, established in 2002 in Seoul. Now, this is one of the biggest projects that they're on. It's called Human Waste Solutions for Poverty Reduction. Human waste, in other words, human poo, is a Korean traditional fertilizer handed across generations. You can also say that this can be discussed in the economical and environmental views. However, the root of this project is culture. So without culture, this project couldn't have existed. Now, many Ghanaians could profit from this project because as the sanitation of Africa improves, more tourists come to Ghana, and this means another economical revenue for them. Now, can you recognize what this machine is? This is a Korean traditional snack-making machine. It's a rice puff machine. This machine was brought to Africa by STEP members to feed African children in poverty. This machine shows how Korean culture is passed on to African culture. And what's even better is that Korean culture is being sustained in another place called Africa, but not in Korea. To sum up, cultural sustainability in the aspect of cultural heritage, culture industries, and cultural tourism show that this newly defined act can alleviate poverty and contribute to development of a local community. Irina Volkova, the Director General of UNESCO, quoted that culture can help foster participation. Cultural tourism is the key word in the 21st century. Many people do acknowledge the fact that we should preserve our culture. However, we shouldn't stop at protecting diverse cultures. However, we should go further and actually implement these designs and political ideas to our reality life. And before I really wrap up this speech, we would like to give you an important message related to cultural sustainability. Culture is crucial for sustainable development. Culture is what makes us human.
Culture is about our identities. Culture is about our history and our heritage.
Culture is about peace. Culture brings about social inclusion and social cohesion.
Thank you for your attentive listening.
Okay, thank you for your speech, which is very impressive. From now on, there will be comments and questions from the commentators. Let's start with Dongtan Global High School.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jiwon Kim, and I'm from Dongtan Global High School. Firstly, thank you for your great speech on cultural sustainability. Then now I start my question. Regarding the example of application of Korean culture to Ghana, could there be any conflicts between original and new culture?
I do understand your worries that there can be conflicts between two countries. However, that is not what we're trying to focus here today. If I give you an example, Korea and North Korea are having a war at the moment, but that doesn't mean Koreans are not helping North Koreans. Both the governments may be in a conflict with each other. However, in this situation, we are seeing Ghanaians as the poor people who need our needs. Therefore, we are not trying to see it as country to country, but the poor people and the people who can help them. Thank you.
And the next commentator, Busan International High School.
Well, thank you, all you honorable speakers. Your speech was quite clear and easy to comprehend. However, I could find some of the little missing points that although the ultimate goal of the academic conference is to mainly offer one's own opinion, some of your statements lacked original ideas or, specific opinions, and that was a little pity. And I do agree that all the information that you addressed was quite fresh and informative, but some of them were no more than mere enumeration of UNESCO and achievements of other organizations. And in the case of the Bukchon Hanokmaul, it would be much valuable as an academic presentation if you added some more detailed information about it. As there was too brief information about it, I just felt, what is it? And that's it. So it would be much valuable if you added some more details. But to sum up, I was deeply impressed by your adorable presentation. But the little fact that the novelty being nullified by the enumeration was a pity. And here goes my question. At the very beginning of the speech, you mentioned that the cultural sustainability is one of the 4 pillars supporting the sustainable development. And could you give me some information of the other 3 pillars?
Actually, the other pillars are explained by the other speakers, like politics, economics, and ecology. And we are saying that the cultural sustainability is the 4th pillar that supports the sustainable development. Yeah.
Next, Sejong Global High School.
So, to start with, my name is Han Ji-won from Sejong Global High School, and thank you for your speech. The paper showed a thorough research with a large numbers of facts, statistics, and pictures to support ideas, allowing us to see that the speaker put an impressive amount of time and effort in preparing the presentation. Although that there are lots of static data and examples, but I couldn't find a further discussion points to elaborate the speaker's view about the issue. Also, I couldn't understand how those facts are related to the cultural sustainability in Korea as the title suggests. In addition, the speaker said in the presentation that the Rosetta Stone is one of the ways to preserve dying languages. As far as I know, however, Rosetta Stone is a program for ESL or EFL language learners to learn foreign languages, and the cost of the program is very expensive for African people to afford. For this reason, it is hard for me to believe that the Rosetta Stone is a realistic solution to preserve dying languages. Furthermore, the speaker said the rice puff machine helped to feed starving children in Ghana because the great amount of corn is harvested. However, it didn't sound persuasive because there are no objective data to show how many times the machines are used and how they help to solve starving problem. So I'll give some two questions, and my first question is that, as I already mentioned in my commentary, is there any static data to show how many times the rice puff machines are used and how they help to feed starving children in Ghana?
Well, I must admit that there isn't an exact statistic saying, well, we went 1 time a month or 2 times a month. However, seeing the record on the STEP, actually this foundation is under the UNWTO, led by Ban Ki-moon. So I usually check this website out very much, and I could find a record in December 31st, 2013. There was a record of going to Africa. Yes, that's all I can say, I guess.
Thank you for your answer, and I'll give my last question, that I am wondering why and how the speakers come up with the idea of Rosetta Stone to preserve dying languages.
Thank you for your question. I do admit that there was a little bit of elaboration lacking in my speech, so I will give the elaboration right now. The Rosetta Stone program works as a program that assists the tribes and the ethnic groups to actually teach those children that are attending schools and speaking in other languages, not their mother language. So it actually underwrites every cost that needs to build this program. So then the Rosetta Stone is the one that takes care of the costs. And how it's distributed is that the Rosetta Stone makes the software, because it's a language learning software, and it gives it to the schools or the community center so that the students and the kids can go, and even adults can go there and learn their language.
Seoul.
First, thank you for your presentation, Goyang Global High School. I'm Jisoo Choi from Seoul. Your presentation did a great job of focusing on the importance of protecting cultural heritage by using understandable statistics and examples. However, I'm interested to know what the speakers think about the need to protect other modern elements of culture, including LGBT or other marginalized groups that may require protection from discrimination. As one example, let me tell you about my personal experience, although you're not interested in. In June 2014, I volunteered as an interpreter in Queer Pride, which was held in Seoul. Do you ever heard about Queer Pride? Yes. That's great. Queer Pride is a festival with the purpose of acknowledging the existence of sexual minorities, LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and assisting their equal rights against the discrimination. The reason I volunteered was also the same, to support their equal rights in my own way. But the things happened in here. No offense, but some conservative Christians throw a water bottle to me and a trash can. One lady even held my hands and talked about how bad being gay is. They also blocked the parade path and singing Korean national anthem and hymn. Police didn't make any action for this, and this situation lasted for nearly 4 hours. Because I experienced how ignorant one segment of culture can be, I want to ask you a question. Do you think one culture group has the right to be protected even if they discriminate another culture group? This is my question.
No, I don't think they have the right to discriminate the other groups because of their culture, because we believe that the protection and the preservations happen so that we can, along the times and the times of these cultures being present in the world today. So we believe that the cultures should be preserved and protected, and the boundaries that they don't harm the human rights and the human dignity, and they should not discriminate the other culture groups.
Thank you for answering.
Incheon.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeanette Yeonchun Ri, and I will be representing Incheon International High School as a commentator. First of all, I'd like to recognize Koyang Global High School speakers Seong상yeon, Sahaeson, and Lee Jae-in for constructing a comprehensive research paper on cultural sustainability. Starting off by introducing a couple of strong, solid ideas towards the topic, the writers maintain a steady pace throughout the paper and also included supportive examples. While voicing their own thoughts on the subject, the writers did a good job of bringing up several points that supported their statements. On the other hand, there are a couple things that I noticed while reading the paper that I would like to address. P.S. This might be a little long. First, I would like to mention with a slight unclear definition on cultural sustainability, the paper was missing an evident thesis, making it difficult for the reader to grasp the main idea. A clearer definition on cultural sustainability would definitely enhance the paper's clarity, and the thesis would also improve the essay's purpose. It would not only leave a bigger impact on the audience or reader, but give everyone a better understanding of what cultural sustainability really is. In addition, I noticed that the writers had the tendency to kind of include unnecessary points and details about aspects while trying to explain and reason with what they were saying. Instead of directly relating or elaborating further, minor details that I thought were not needed were brought up. For example, when talking about the preservation and protection of cultural sustainability, the writers added a little too much extra information on UNESCO, and I wish they had actually elaborated on the relationship between the two. I suggest that these details be omitted from the paper to improve the essay's flow and structure. Also, instead of explaining the different ways that other people are sustaining cultural sustainability, I would have wanted you guys to actually give your own ideas and solutions or how we could help. Unfortunately, by the time I finished reading the paper, I realized that the writers did not provide citations for their information or pictures included. This is kind of a serious issue because citing sources helps prevent potential plagiarism and provides the reader something to fact-check what they said. Therefore, I recommend including a reference paper and making sure to cite whatever sources used. Nevertheless, the writers were able to wrap up with a strong conclusion that voiced their beliefs in maintaining cultural sustainability that persuaded the audience's view. Wrapping up, I would like to throw out a question to the speakers. How does cultural imperialism relate to the Korean Ghanaian issue?
First, can you clarify the question because I never mentioned cultural imperialism related to this cultural sustainability, so I don't really see the connection. So I just want to ask you what you're trying to ask.
Sorry, excuse me. Actually, for the sake of time, I'll just ask you a different question. when the rice puff machine, which is part of the Korean culture, transfers to Africa, what do you think will happen to the African culture?
Well, many people are interested in this topic, and I sure was too. Well, as I checked those news articles on the internet, I found that first, the director of this STEP Foundation, Do Young-sim, she brought this rice puff machine to Ethiopia just to try out to the local people. And then I also found another article saying that a man is establishing a business using this machine. So I believe this has been an effective business method in the African countries.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for all the great questions and comments and answers. Anyone in the audience who would like to ask questions, please raise your hand. Oh. Before you start, please inform the audience of your name and which school you attend.
Thank you, moderator. I am Jung Suno from Jongtan Global High School. I first want to ask about 2 points that I believe are really important in the sustainability of culture but weren't mentioned. I would first like to call upon the speakers to address the issue of conflicts upon the origins of culture because according to a lot of news reports and according to what we see every day in CNN or BBC, there's a lot of issues regarding the conflict upon the origins of the culture. For example, in China, the people of the Tibet, the Joseon people, there are a lot of minorities, more than 65. They're all fighting for their culture, but China sees it as their culture. They actually promotes it as Chinese culture. They send out videos, they send out letters, and so I was wondering about that. And I would also like to ask about the disappearing cultures or the unknown cultures. The speakers very efficiently mentioned the issues of UNESCO or Rosetta Stone working to save these cultures or languages. However, I believe that there is too much that is unknown to us, that is unknown to the large public. Some examples, such as of the indigenous people in Africa or in Brazil, in the Amazon, there's a lot of tribes, more than 100,000 that we do not know of, and even the international society does not exactly have a clear grasp on this. So I would like to ask how the speakers would like to solve this problem, or at least say their opinion on how to solve these problems. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your question. For your first question, you mentioned the conflicts between of origin between the cultures and the religions. We believe that as we have responded to the commentator's speech, the culture should be respected. They should be respected as they have, in present in the world for a long time. And then there's a dispute over whose culture it is, but that we need to respect them as our own. And China doesn't have the right to control the cultures, other cultural groups, because in the process of doing so, they harm the human dignity and the human rights.
On that point, I would like to ask how exactly are we going to try to save those minorities' cultures? Because even looking at the example of the Tibets, they want freedom, they want independence. They say my culture is my culture and we should be a separate country. However, the Chinese, it's a big country. They're lobbying everyone in the world. They're saying that Tibet is our culture and it's been for hundreds of years. So how about that?
Yes, but we're discussing on the aspect of culture, and I think that there's lots of politics involved in what you said.
Oh, that's exactly why I'm asking. What is your solution?
Solution for the politic problems that are happening in China and between China and Tibet?
No, not about the political issues. To save the examples such as the Tibet, what is your solution for those that are, interrelated with politics? There's going to be a lot of issues that's related with politics, so what is your solution? Well, in the aspects of culture.
Politics and aspects of culture?
No.
We have... I thought that was kind of related. That question was related to your second question about how are we going to raise awareness of the small minority groups.
No, that's actually sort of different. A lot of people are aware that the Tibetans have a distinct sort of culture. I'm just asking that how, when a big nation, one of the G2s, says that this is our culture, how are we going to try to...
I'm sorry
prevent
that
Yeah.
you're run out of time, and give the other audience the chance to question.
Okay, thank you,
please.
speakers, anyway.
Now, raise your hand if you have questions. There. Before question, please place your mic a little closer to your face because we cannot hear to the speakers or...
Okay. I'm Kim Ji-young from Busan International High School, and thank you for your honorable and great presentation. As you said, to preserve both tangible and intangible culture, it is important to change people's awareness, and I think it is also important to encourage people to enjoy and experience those cultures as many as possible for the preservation. However, in some cases, in the process of encouraging and changing people to get a sustainable interest in those cultures, the commercial method can be used to make them prosperous to people as possible. And I think this commercial method has a huge possibility to ruin original value of the culture. So my question is, what can be a solution for the problem of commercialization of cultures occurs during encouragement and preservation?
I think that commercial, things happen because they're profit organizations. So I think that if we let the non-profit organizations to create some videos that are actually happening right now, the UN Works, Discovery Channel, and the UNESCO is making a film to broadcast it on the Discovery Channel to raise awareness of the minority groups that their languages are disappearing. So these kind of videos, if they're created, I think it can stop the commercial problem.
Thank you for your answer.
Next. There.
Hello, I'm Junon from Seoul Global High School, and first of all, I'd like to thank presenters for giving such a great presentation about cultural sustainability. And one of the statements from the presentation was about dying languages and rescuing all those languages in demise. However, those languages are now defunct and they are disappearing because they are not spoken by anybody. So, what is the value of saving something that nobody's going to use anyway? Isn't it just one of the natural selection in the cultural area?
I think that the languages are disappearing, of course, like you said, because it's not spoken anymore. But then the fact is that the speakers are actually existing, they're living, but then they speak different languages. Right? They don't speak their mother language. So the problem is that they lose their, they lose their culture that was given to them by their ancestors, their tribes, their ethnic groups. So we believe that protecting those cultures that were given to them, because it defines their identity, it's important to preserve it.
Question?
I'm sorry, but other question is waiting. And next, Sejong.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hyun Kim from Sejong Global High School. First, thank you for your great speech. It was really impressive. But I have some questions about it. I agree that the speakers mentioned about the linguistic diversity is really important for the future. I really agree. Then you guys mentioned about the solution about endangered language learning program, and the commentator of Sejong Global High School gave you guys a problem of that solution. So, did you guys have any other solution to solve this problem?
The problem of?
A linguistic problem that languages are disappearing, the exact solution about it. This, instead of endangered language system, which the stone gave it.
So besides education?
Yes.
I think education is very important when it comes to preserving the linguistic diversity, but we believe that also people should actually know that there are disappearing languages and that they're in danger. So we believe that making festivals, such as airing the videos or raising awareness of the endangered languages, would be another option.
Where's the next question? There.
Hello, my name is Im Byung-yeon from Sejong Global High School. Thank you for the wonderful speech and the comments. My question is plain and simple. After studying so much about sustainability, how did it affect you? How did you become more sustainable?
Thank you for your question. Thank you for asking about me, my opinion. By researching about this topic, I didn't know that there was lots of endangered languages in the world, and that we could apply these cultural sustainability directly to the development of a society. So I think that by realizing and knowing just the fact that they are being endangered, and that we have to preserve the tangible and intangible culture, has made me realize that cultural sustainability is really, really important.
Thank you for your answer.
Yes, thank you.
There, Dongtan.
Hello, I'm Nam Junyoung from Dongtan Global High School. And first, thank you, Goyang Global High School speakers, for your wonderful speech. However, I'd like to ask one question. During the speech, I'm aware that a similar question was mentioned before, but I'm still confused and want more clarification and explanation. During the speech, I've noticed that the speakers kept their view on the matter of passing down the heritages to our following generations. As time goes by, the importance of human rights is rising to the surface. However, heritages that violate human rights and induce ethical problems still exist. If these heritages are preserved, it will cause disruption in human rights and can cause global disagreements. I'm curious to what the speakers would say about this problem.
Like I've mentioned before, cultures that harm human dignity and human rights must be discouraged.
Thank you.
Well, no question in Incheon? No? Well, we have the last question to ask, and if there's no question, I will wrap it up. And it was amazing to share all these ideas about cultural sustainability. Thank you very much to all the presenters, commentators, and the great audience for participating in today's conference. Our session, Cultural Sustainability, has ended. Please be seated by 4:45 after a 10-minute break for our last session. Thank you very much.